Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode on MissioWay Health and Wellness. I'm so excited that we get to chat with a good friend of mine, Miss Erin Courtney, who owns her own pastry business called Chef Erin. And she is a culinary expert at all things food, enjoys figuring out what ingredients can be substituted out for different needs, whether it's a dietary need, whether it's an allergy, whether it's just a preference, all of those different things. And so I've asked her to come on here today to share a little bit about her wisdom, her background, and how we can implement some of these things into our everyday. So, welcome, Erin. So happy to have you.
Oh, thank you, Kate. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, well, we are just thrilled that you can take this time to chat with us for a little bit and tell us about all things when it comes to cooking things up in the kitchen and making something appealing and amazing, even if we have to take a few ingredients out because of this, that, or the other. So, I wanted to ask, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into pastries and deciding to go to culinary school, like all those kind of things, and what drew you into the industry?
So, 15 years ago, my daughter was a baby, and my sister-in-law had asked me, she said, "Do you want to take a cake decorating class with me at the local community college?"
That
And
sounds
I was like, "Cake decorating? I've never even baked a cake.
fun.
Sure." I get out of the house one day a week and I get to bake cakes and decorate them and make pretty things. And most of all, eating the cakes. That was my favorite part.
Of course.
And so it was, I think it was like 8 weeks or something, 11 weeks. And so went through the program. It just ignited this passion that I never knew was there. Because, like I said, I had never baked a cake before.
Right.
And then I went in and I started baking these cakes and decorating them and sending them to my husband, to my husband's work. And it was just, it ignited this fire, this passion. And then 2 years later, I came across at the University of South Carolina, there was, it's called the Culinary Institute at Carolina.
Mm.
And it's a 1 year program. There were 11 classes. And I mean, it was culinary school. We went and it was 2 classes a week, 4 hours a class, and we were in the kitchen. We were cooking. I mean, it was very much a preparation for sending people off to work in the restaurant industry. So
Wow.
um, I learned all things about cooking. Like baking was still my specialty, but I learned so many things that I never knew how to do before with cooking. And so after that, I worked in the restaurant industry as a pastry chef, and that's when I started to make some changes with eliminating gluten from my diet while I was working as a pastry chef in the restaurant
Oh
industry.
my gosh. I imagine that had to be so hard.
Oh my gosh. Just imagine a giant tantrum from an adult.
I get it.
It's like,
I
no,
do.
I don't want to cut gluten out of my diet because literally everything that I made at work was gluten.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I discovered not even a week, I believe it was 5 days when I cut gluten out of my diet, my psoriasis had completely cleared up.
Wow.
And at this point, I had been dealing with psoriasis for about 10 or 12 years, and it was
Okay.
progressively getting worse.
Okay. Yeah.
And my dermatologist, she gave me creams, she gave me pills. Nothing helped. Nothing
Right.
made it better. And it was on my knee, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And my knee would crack and bleed, and like I couldn't
Mm.
even put my knee on the floor, get down on the floor with
God.
my kids. I had to be on carpet because I mean my knee would bust open and bleed.
Wow.
And so that cleared up in 5 days, and I went, huh,
Five
what
days.
is that? So I said, I'm going to try an experiment. So we went to a bakery and we got cakes and cookies. And it was like, okay, this is our experiment. And the next day I woke up and it had come back with a vengeance. I mean, just
Really?
flared right back up. And I said, okay. So I removed it from my
Wow.
diet again, gone in two
Wow.
days.
That is
And I was like,
crazy.
that is crazy.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
many of my digestive issues had cleared up as well. And I'm sitting there going, okay,
Yeah,
I'm on to something here. Like,
definitely. And crazy
and
to think that you had been through all of that treatment with dermatologists and everything else, but it had not resolved. But removing a food changed everything.
just one thing.
Wow.
That changed
Okay.
everything.
So I guess at that point you realized, okay, as you said, you're onto something, but I know that you've mentioned to me before the importance of like what we put into our bodies and how that can make a difference health-wise that otherwise we may never have even known. I mean, it's not always like a pill's not always the answer. Sometimes it is, but not always. And that sometimes it can be modifications in our own diets that make some massive changes too.
Right, right. And I remember hearing an analogy one time. It's like, say you have the water in the sink running and then the water starts overflowing onto the floor. Well, you go over and you start throwing towels and mopping up the water that's on the floor. What if you just turned off the sink?
Yeah,
What if
that's
you
I like
just
that
turned off
analogy.
that running water? Like
Mhm.
getting to the root cause
Yeah.
to, because it's like slapping a band-aid on a bullet hole without removing the bullet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
how are you going to fix this problem? And
Right.
so much of what I didn't understand. I had no idea that what I ate had that big of an effect on my health
Sure.
until I had to start eliminating things and just kind of really paying attention now. And even today, I'm not 100% gluten free.
Mm.
I just have it in very, very like limited amounts, quantities, and I haven't had a flare up, a psoriasis flare up in 9 years.
Wow, that's a long time to be like symptom free. That's
Right.
incredible. So, when you figured out that gluten was wreaking havoc on your body and causing psoriasis and a plethora of other issues, what did you have to do in order to make that switch in your mind? Because, as you said, like gluten was your kind of your whole life. I mean, being a pastry chef, I mean, you were in it, around it, eating it probably every day, as would be my guess. Like,
Oh, yes.
how do you mentally wrap your head around that and then ultimately make the decision and the efforts to not have that anymore? Like that's a big lifestyle change.
It very much was. And it's the thought of not being able to eat cakes or cookies or,
Yeah,
even have
yeah.
any sort of sweet treat again. It was just, I'm sitting there going, that's not, no,
Oh, I
not
know. That's like a
again.
bad, that's like a bad thing.
Is life worth living without cookies? I mean,
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So how did you start figuring out that life could keep moving on after you had to remove gluten from your diet? Like, what were your next steps there?
I started experimenting with different recipes.
Ooh, I like that.
So, yeah, and it progressed and I had some fails, I had some successes. I mean, it was just such a blend of, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm making notes. So since I write cookbooks and I develop all these recipes, it was okay, I'm going to use a mix of this flour and this flour in place of traditional all-purpose flour. Like I've written a gluten-free gourmet cookie book, and the blend that works perfectly, because when I first started making cookies with just plain old gluten-free flour, I did not like the way they turned out. It's like
Yeah,
these they just don't compare. So I created a blend. It's half all-purpose gluten-free flour and half oat flour.
interesting.
Mixed them together, and that's what gave it the consistency that I was looking for. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, who are the ultimate taste testers that are going to be honest? Kids.
Got it.
So my daughter was in seventh grade, either seventh or eighth grade, middle school, and so I was like, listen, can you take these cookies to your friends at school? I need to get some opinions. And so she took them to school. Nobody knew they were gluten free. Nobody noticed, and they
Wow.
kept asking for more, more,
Really?
more, more.
Gosh. So you just again stumbled onto this thing that would actually work. And I'm guessing like when you were eating them, none of the psoriasis came back and you were feeling okay?
Yeah,
Gosh,
and
that's
that
incredible.
was it was just amazing to me. But like we've talked about before, my body has changed over the years, and of course, going through the wonderful fun times of midlife and perimenopause,
Of
our
course.
bodies change. And so I still notice things like grains as a whole. I've had to cut down on the amount of grains that I
Gotcha.
eat.
Gotcha.
Um, and I mean that's not, I still haven't had psoriasis flare up, but I notice shifts in my gut, like with the bloating and some of the brain fog and things like that. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
Our bodies are amazing.
They are, I know, and always changing for sure, for
Yes.
sure. Well, and tell me a little bit. So I know that you have your business, Chef Erin, and you made all of these different changes, and you talked about like writing cookbooks and such. What have you found to be like some of the most life-giving changes that you've made, or ingredient swaps perhaps that you have made that allow things to still taste good and not bland or weird or odd or whatever, like for that cookie recipe, for example, that you gave to the kids? What did you find was like it just worked for you? What kind of things would you like that you could share about that?
So I will say for the cookies, just as a specific example, with that being a substitute of just taking those two flours and blending them together and realizing that that worked. I'll give an example. So my husband loves these pumpkin muffins that I
Mhm.
make. And so, but he also has a pretty major sweet tooth. And I was like, I don't want to feed him, like these unhealthy
Yeah,
muffins every day. Cause he's like, I literally could eat these muffins every day for breakfast. And he has been for years, like for the
got it.
past 3 years.
Got it.
So, but each batch that I made, I started because I was making them gluten free. And I started pulling a little bit of that gluten free flour out and putting a little more oat flour in there. And I started putting a little bit of maple syrup and pulling some of the um, refined sugar out. And I started using avocado oil. And,
Mm,
so it's like I very slowly was making these changes to each batch because there was like 18 muffins in a batch.
got it.
So, and they're plant-based too. So instead of eggs, I was using ground flaxseed that was actually mixed with maple syrup to
Wow.
kind of thicken it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's got just the right amount of sweetener, but it's got healthy fats from avocado oil. You can also use coconut oil. Um, it's all oat flour. So that,
Mhm.
and oats are a complex carbohydrate.
Got it.
And so with the ground flaxseed and the cinnamon and just, it's like that small shift every single batch that I made just made a little bit of it. He didn't even notice, did not even
That's the best.
notice because the changes that I was making were so small with each batch that he eventually got used to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, just had no idea. And now it's like, oh gosh, he's getting low on his muffins. I can make some again.
I get that. Oh my gosh, that's so great. So like did you find, as opposed to doing like about changes, but just incrementally changing it, that that seemed to be like a better approach as far as somebody enjoying it?
Yes, very much
Okay.
so. Because I
Is the
mean,
taste a lot different between the two?
um, yes and no,
Okay.
because I mean, if somebody eats one of those muffins, they're like, it's good, but something's missing. And I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, like
got
the
it.
all those refined, those simple sugars
Yeah.
that you're used to eating, but they're like, they're they're fluffy, but they're dense, and that they're very filling. And I'm like, yes, because of the ingredients. So it's
Right.
it's one of those things where someone might notice a little difference, but it's not enough to be like, oh god, well,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this doesn't taste good.
Exactly. I know it feels like it's cardboard coming out of a box or whatever,
Right,
but yeah.
right,
Well, and that's so interesting that you say that because I know that our taste buds can change over time.
yes,
Sometimes within like, is it 7 or 14 days? Like it's something short. It was crazy short. But either way, I definitely know that we can train our tongue, our body to do to just I don't know, uh, accept different kinds of foods and different
right,
kinds of flavors. And so I really like that idea of doing it incrementally. That makes so much
yes,
sense, as
yes.
opposed to just like throwing everything out and starting brand new and hoping that it flies. Yeah.
So I like to call it baby steps for big babies because when I was a huge baby, whenever I had to pull out gluten from my diet, I mean,
I
I was
love
just
it.
like, the world is coming to an end.
Uh-huh.
And so that is one of the things that I have learned. I mean, it's like the Whole30 diet. It
Yeah.
is a great elimination diet. Most people, I couldn't even follow it for 30 days because I mean, and I eat healthy,
Yeah.
but Whole30 for 30 days
Yeah.
was completely eliminating everything all at once. And it's so
Wow.
extreme. Most people have a hard time with doing something really extreme, and they're less likely to stick to it. And plus, if you
Exactly.
take someone who is used to eating donuts for breakfast every morning and tell them that they have to eat kale 3 times a day,
Yeah.
that's not going to work. It's
It's
not
just
going to
not.
stick.
No, no. They
So,
get tired of it and be like, the heck with this. It's not even worth it anymore.
right, right. So, like, say someone who drinks sodas every day,
Mm-hmm.
say they drink 3 sodas a day,
Yep.
and I said, well, I really want to, work on my soda habit. It's like, okay, well, for 1 week, drink 2 sodas a day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then for the second week, drink 1 soda a day. And then, just incrementally, just, slowly make those consistent habits that, because those little changes just add up so
Oh, they
much.
do completely. And if you're able to, especially in the soda thing, if you're able to cut those sugars back, I can only imagine knowing that sugar can be like a highly inflammatory food to a lot of
Right.
people and highly addictive. I mean, it's incredible
Yes.
how addictive sugar is in our diet. And I mean, it's just like, golly. And so if we can start curbing and putting in more natural or other natural resources, such as like honey or maple syrup or something like that,
Right.
I feel like that is a way that you can make something that's sustainable. And again, like you said, something that you can stick with and not completely just, try hardcore for like 2 or 3 weeks and then throw your hands up and be, I'm done. I can't. This is crazy. Like, what am I even doing? So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
tried that. I tried that for 3 days and it didn't work.
exactly.
And, so
Exactly.
my cousin is a registered dietitian, and she and I
Okay.
have had so many conversations about this.
Wow. Yeah.
And she said, I tell all of my patients, don't completely eliminate something unless you have a legit allergy.
Okay. Good to know.
And the reason is because if you eliminate something and be like, oh, well, I can't eat that because it's bad for me,
Hmm.
the way that your brain works, that's going to make it so much harder. And I'll be honest with you, for a few years, I struggled from the mental and emotional aspects of living such a strict, because I don't have any food allergies. I am gluten
Gotcha.
sensitive.
Gotcha.
Um, Dairy, I have to be careful, not eliminate it, but I just have to be careful how much I take in.
Hmm.
But when I started labeling foods as, no, that's bad, that's going to hurt me, that's bad, that's going to hurt
Right.
me, and
Right.
it just, it went to a level that I didn't want it to go to. I started
Yeah.
isolating myself from social gatherings. I'm a very social person and
Sure.
I love food. I mean,
Sure.
love food.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this party, but I got to take my own smoothie. And it's not because I have to, but it's because
Right.
I can't eat that. And I knew that it got to that point where it was unhealthy for me emotionally. And
Sure.
it's like, okay, I've got to get a balance,
Mhm.
because orthorexia is a common, it's disordered eating. And it's when you overfocus on eating too healthy and be like, okay, I can never go to Chick-fil-A again. We go to
Right.
Chick-fil-A a couple times, or my family goes every week, and I'll go like every other week.
Got it.
Um, but I don't get what I used to. I don't get the chicken sandwich with the French fries and the lemonade.
Hmm.
I get the grilled nuggets with the kale crunch salad and water. Now I do indulge on the little ranch dipping sauce because it's just so good.
Of course.
But that's not something that I eat every day, and I want to go there with my family. I want to be able to, still indulge in the
Yeah.
things that I enjoy
Yeah.
without overdoing it.
I love that perspective so much because I am always a proponent of not doing everything perfectly, but just doing it in incremental steps. And honestly, like what works and is necessary for you and your family. But this whole concept of hyper focusing on eating healthy and it becoming a whole mental thing, I think is really important to note. And is it important to eat healthy? Of course it is, but to fixate on it and it becoming
Yeah.
an obstacle in living your everyday life and it becoming like a crippling thing where you feel like it's almost like a fear of having the wrong thing, that it's going to cause this, that, or the other. I think that's really, really important to note. I'm really glad that you brought that up. And it's this idea of this mind body spirit connection. everything being intertwined together. And so, yes, you can do all of the right things eating well, but if your mind is not right and you're not living a lifestyle that works really well, that gives you peace, harmony, and all of those other things, you can end up doing a lot of damage psychologically and ultimately physically too, because they are interconnected so intrinsically. So yeah, I really, really appreciate you bringing that up and just bringing light to that because I think it's something that we don't talk about a lot. We're either in
Right.
one camp or the other.
Yeah.
You're either the heck with this holistic life, this crunchy lifestyle. This isn't for me. Like these people are wacko. Like I have no idea what they're talking about, right? There's that one side. And then you have the other side who are like, I can't eat anything bad. It's all going to be detrimental to me. And you start getting in these
Right.
cyclical mindsets and trying to push it on everybody else too. And, good, bad, like you could argue that a bunch of different ways. But the whole point is this idea of balance and being
Yes.
like keeping, yes, is it important to eat well? Of course it is. We were just talking about that and how removing gluten ended up making a life-changing moment and period of time for you of not having the psoriasis. But at the same time, swinging the other side of just making sure you have that healthy relationship with food and that it doesn't become this all-consuming detrimental thing that you end up making more problems than there even are. And I think the other thing that you mentioned that I thought was really interesting is, what was it your sister or your sister-in-law who said your dietitian or
Oh,
the
cousin.
cousin,
Yeah.
okay. Who mentioned that unless you have an allergy, you shouldn't take something out of your diet, like exclusively or whatever. I think that's really an interesting point, and I suppose like that's person to person, but
Oh, of course.
either way, you're right. And I've experienced this myself. Like if you completely remove something and then you put it back into your diet, sometimes your body can go haywire over it. And you just
Yes.
like, it reacts and like your whole body is like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this. And you're thinking, gosh, like something that I could eat all the time suddenly is not so great for me anymore. And so I guess let me ask the question, if you have done something like that, let's say that you got information and you thought, oh, it'd be great if I were to take, I don't know, eggs or sugar or even broccoli, like whatever ingredient you want. But if you were to take that out of your diet for a certain period of time where your body like deacclimated itself from it, and then you reintroduced it and saw all of these problems, what would be your suggestion on how to handle that? I mean, perhaps getting doctor advice or, eliciting help with like a functional medicine doctor or something like that could be helpful. But I mean, do you think you could just incrementally do kind of that baby step approach and figure out like, could I add just a little bit back in and do a little bit more and just do like that and kind of reintroduce it slowly? Or what would be your thought on that?
Personally, for me, and this is where I just experiment with things. And sometimes things do agree with me, and sometimes things don't agree with me. And
Yeah,
that is a puzzle I'm still trying to figure out myself, for
sure,
me.
sure.
And but one of the things that I did want to say, it's like stress.
Yeah,
So when stress does so much damage to the body.
yep,
And that was one of the things that I didn't realize at the time when I was just fixated on, oh, I've got to live, these are bad foods, these are bad foods. Well, guess what? The stress from that compulsive fixation on it was doing way more damage
got it,
than I realized.
got it.
And, so like the biggest part of all of this is taking a step back and realizing, hey, okay, I recognize that this is a problem,
Hmm.
and I need to learn what are some tools in my toolbox that I can use to help myself
Yeah,
get past this.
sure.
And so whether it's a therapist or a dietitian or a
Yeah,
holistic nutritionist, like whoever you can get, of course, that has the experience that can help you with that. I mean, that's what, because again, everybody is so different. We
oh,
are
definitely.
our own complicated giant puzzle
Yeah,
And the pieces are not all the same size.
exactly.
Some are
Exactly.
big and some are little.
I know that makes so much sense. Yeah. And just trying to, I think baby steps are the way to go and figuring out, okay, if I want to figure out what's happening with me, like you said, getting the help from some of those professionals and then figuring out what works best for you and your body because you are the person who lives with yourself the most.
Right,
And even like getting outside help, while it can be really helpful and put your life on a great trajectory, everybody who's outside of you, they know what they know, and that's what they know.
right,
But you know you the best, and you know your children the best. And so that's something that I've had to learn as well of saying all of this information is great, and I definitely want to take it and use it as information and fuel for making decisions and healthy choices. But at the end of it all, and at the very end of the day, I have to live with everything that I choose to do. And I've got to make sure that it's a pattern that works both for me mentally as well as physically. Like those
right,
all kind of come together. So yeah,
right.
great, great point. Um, well, let me ask. So I know you, and let me ask really quick too. I know you've made a bunch of changes of different ingredients that you can put in foods. In fact, one of the recipes that you shared with me once is that you put black beans in brownies. Can you tell me about
Yes.
that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, those are one of my. In fact, I've got to make those tomorrow because I
Oh,
know.
perfect.
Um, and so it's funny because this I joke about how I trick people into eating healthier things than they realize, and I
Yeah.
tricked my son into eating one of these black bean brownies because I'm like, hey buddy, I made brownies or cookies or whatever. You want to try it? And he's always like, yeah, sure. He's 11.
Yeah.
So I made these black bean brownies. I gave it to him, and I took a video because I was like, "Oh, I gotta get this." And so he was like, "It's good." I was like, "Do you know what's in it?" And just the look on his face was like, "Oh no."
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And when I told him black beans, he was like, "No,
That's
no,"
amazing.
because he does not like black beans at
Really?
all.
Okay, so he just didn't even
Does not
like them
like
at
them.
all. Oh my
No,
gosh.
will not. I mean,
That's even better.
I know. And so with with the black bean brownies, I used to put oat flour in them, but since I've gotten to the point where uh, I just do better with a less amount of grains,
Yeah.
I use it's a paleo blend. So
Oh,
it's a paleo blend of flour. I don't have any nut allergies or anything like that.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
So but I pureed the black beans with maple syrup
Uh-huh.
and coconut oil and vanilla in the blender. Just puree them until there's like teeny tiny little bits. Um, but then when you add the cocoa and you blend in the flour, and I
Right.
also put a plant-based protein powder in there too. Um, you can't even tell. I like to put
Crazy.
walnuts in mine, but I'll get like the Lily's chocolate chips.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Those are really good.
Yeah, Lily's and Who. I like both of those a lot. Um, so I'll put those chocolate chips in there, and so there's chocolate chips and they're brownies, and so they just don't even notice.
So I've got to ask, what made you think to put black beans in brownies? Like, did it just come to you one day of like, I wonder what I can create with black beans and see what I can do with it? Like, I'm really curious about the story on that one.
I had actually come across a recipe for
No
black bean
way.
brownies, and I'm sitting there going, "What? How? How? How?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I had made the recipe that I found, and I liked it, but I was like, "I'm gonna make some tweaks here," and because
Sure.
that's what I love. I love to do some experimental recipes in the kitchen. It's
Of
one of my
course.
favorite things. Yes. So once I got the recipe down, I was like, okay, I've got it. And
And ready to test it out in the world.
yeah, and one of the things that I've noticed with these is that it's like you eat a regular brownie, they have about the same amount of calories, but you eat a regular brownie, and it's like, ooh, I want another one. I
Hmm.
can eat another one. I could totally eat another one.
Yeah.
Whereas with these brownies, since they have fiber and protein and they don't have any refined sugar and it's complex carbs in them, and it's just the balance of nutrients, they are so much more filling,
Wow.
just
Yeah.
very nutrient dense. And it's
Yeah.
just like, man, that hit the spot.
That really makes sense. Oh, so it's almost like a meal and a dessert.
Well, funny you say that because I'll make a double batch in a 9 by 13 inch pan,
Uh-huh.
and I cut them into 16 pieces. And when I'm on the go, like I don't have time to pack a lunch or whatever, I grab one of those brownies and
Mm.
a little protein shake, a little plant-based protein shake.
Yeah.
And
That's like a whole thing on like gosh, you have all of your bases covered with that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's just funny because I look forward to that brownie. I'm like, yes, I get my black bean brownie today.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. So, like with your creativity and all the different things that you have figured out that work well for substitutes, what would you tell moms that would be some good go-tos that they could do? Like if they're trying to avoid milk or if they're trying to avoid sugar or one of those things, like what are some of your go-tos that you typically reach for either in the pantry or the refrigerator?
So I would say egg substitutes. I use standard applesauce or ground flaxseed that's mixed with water. Those
Yeah.
and I use the ground flaxseed mixed with water way more than applesauce because it's got fiber. Flaxseed is a superfood, so
Yeah.
it's very nutrient dense. And so with milks, I mean, God, there are so many options now because
There
you can
are.
have coconut milk, almond milk, rice milk, soy milk, almond milk. I mean, oat milk. There are so many options to choose from.
Yeah.
Um, my since I don't have a nut allergy, my go-to is almond milk. I use that in a lot of stuff, and like even my kids have adapted to almond milk. Neither one of them drink regular milk. Well, with the exception of my son does like chocolate milk at school,
Okay.
but he he has stomach issues whenever he eats too much dairy.
Okay, gotcha.
And so that's one thing that I am doing with my kids is that I'm trying to teach them how different foods affect their bodies in
Yeah.
certain ways.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling them you can never you can only eat
Right.
organic. You can't eat this. You can't eat that.
Right.
You're not allowed to eat over at your friend's house. You're not allowed to eat fast food. I don't want them to view food as the enemy,
Yeah.
and but I want them to understand. Okay, I I had a quesadilla and dipped it in queso, and now my stomach hurts. And I'm like, well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that was a lot of dairy. So
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that idea of building that healthy relationship with food and teaching kids how it affects them more so than just telling them no and them thinking, oh gosh,
because I said so.
exactly. Yeah. And they internalize it and then they end up becoming fearful of it. And
Yeah, either
that's not,
fearful or rebellious.
or that's true. They can be very rebellious about it and just be like, the heck with what mom said. She doesn't know anything. Especially when they go off to school. Oh my gosh. Like, and
Right,
not around. I can do whatever I want. So yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, I got that. No, that makes sense. No, I love that. And I appreciate you being able to share just some information that can help moms out there who are navigating how to eat healthy and substitutes that they can make, and just knowing that we're all doing what we know how to do within our own wheelhouse too. I really do appreciate your insight and your perspective on that. So, um, thank you, Erin. Thank you so much for being here today, for sharing some of your insights, some of your wisdom, especially when it comes to culinary everything that you do. How can people find out about you and where can they find some of these beautiful cookbooks that you're talking about?
Well, all of my cookbooks are available on Amazon. My business is called Chef Erin's Kitchen. I also have a YouTube channel. So they go to Amazon and type in Erin K. Courtney. I'm going to pop up. I've got, I think it's 32 titles, but 10 of them are actual cookbooks.
Nice.
And so I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, Chef Erin Courtney. I'm out there. I'm on the socials.
That's perfect. Well, thank you, Erin. I so appreciate you being here today and just letting our listeners have a glimpse into what it's like to cook with all these different ingredients and how to make pivots and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, just so grateful for your wisdom and your thoughtfulness about everything and glad to have you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy that our paths have crossed and I can't wait to order some more stuff from you sometime soon.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Erin. Enjoy your day.
All right, you too.